What many people think of when the Korean War is mentioned is a wild group of TV characters with names like Hawkeye, BJ, and Hot Lips. But unlike their TV counterparts, the real troops who served in mobile army surgical hospitals, known as M.A.S.H. units, couldn't leave the set at the end of the day. They witnessed every cruelty war could offer in graphic detail, day in and day out, around the clock. During the war, the men and women of M.A.S.H. were the backbone of successful field operations. M.A.S.H. units made their debut in Korea. Each was a complete life-saving system that could operate close to the front lines and shift position at a moment's notice. Never before was war medicine so close to the war.
Here it is 2.5 hours after this man was wounded, and he's lying fairly comfortably now, I would say, in the hospital. How many miles behind the lines is this?
It's about 10 miles. This M.A.S.H. is right on the 38th parallel.
Right on the 38th parallel.
The surgery's in North Korea, and this where he is now is in South Korea.
Surgery is in North Korea, and the pre-op room is in South Korea.
Each unit was equipped with a helicopter fleet for air rescue, paramedics, and cutting-edge medical technology. But the basic function of a M.A.S.H. unit was known as meatball surgery. Doctors did whatever they could to keep a soldier stable until he could be airlifted to a full-scale hospital further behind the lines or even offshore. Rescue teams adhered to the golden hour rule. They made sure every wounded soldier was carried from the battlefield to a M.A.S.H. unit in under 1 hour. The teams relied on road and rail lines where they could. But in the craggy terrain of Korea, airlift by helicopter was usually the best rescue option. The teamwork of helicopter paramedics and M.A.S.H. doctors saved thousands of lives. Medical teams in Korea saved 25% more wounded than they had in World War II. They became the inspiration for the rescue teams in Vietnam and the Persian Gulf.
Well, now over here we see them starting to carry the patient to the X-ray room. Oh, what's going to happen now?
He's going to X-ray his leg, left leg.
What's your name?
Green, Bobby Green.
Are you a medical corpsman?
I'm a medical technician.
Technician, I see. Will he be back in just a few minutes?
He'll be back as soon as they X-ray him.
Boy, things really happen when they bring a patient into a M.A.S.H., don't they?
It takes around 30 minutes to get him in the operating room when we get him.
Between battles, life for M.A.S.H. doctors occasionally resembled the lives of their TV counterparts. Women served alongside men. Back then it was the closest they could get to the front lines. Once the front settled down in late 1951, volleyball courts appeared at M.A.S.H. units. Games helped to pass endless hours of waiting. But when the wounded suddenly flooded in, medics had to be ready for action. Some M.A.S.H. veterans remember performing surgery for up to 80 straight hours. These doctors would do more operations in 3 days than they had in a year of private practice back home. And the rules of medicine were quite different with casualties of war.
We were concerned only with getting the kid out of here alive, enough for someone else to reconstruct him. Up to a point, we were concerned with fingers, hands, arms, and legs, but sometimes we deliberately sacrificed a leg to save a life. We may lose a leg because if we spend an extra hour trying to save it, another guy would die waiting. Dr. Richard Hooker.
M.A.S.H. rescue operations were like a well-oiled machine. They were a vital part of keeping UN lines stacked with able-bodied men. After being patched up, the more critical patients boarded another helicopter bound for a permanent hospital. Those less seriously injured went back to the front to fight. With the Chinese attacking that front from all angles, UN forces needed every soldier it could get.